this. All right, thank you. Just a reminder, everyone, I put it on the chat box also. If you could kindly, as you join, rename yourself with your name and your organization. In case you're not working with an organization right now, you can just write NA, or you could just leave it at that. But it would be great for us to have names and organizations here to better engage in conversations. Secondly, there is an icebreaker sheet that Swarna has shared on the chat group. Please do continue to engage with that, fill that up so that everyone gets a sense of who is there in the room today. And thirdly, the chat box is really our hope in this virtual world right now. While we're going to try and keep this very interactive, please write down your comments, write down your thoughts in the chat box, because it is only very few times like these when we come together from across the country. So it would be great for us to hear each other's thoughts. Thank you for joining. Let's officially begin. Before we come into what today is about and what's going to happen, I'm going to just run a series of quick polls just for everyone to get a sense again of who is doing what and how we're approaching the topic today. I'm going to project my screen. Swarna, are you around? Yes, you will be projecting the poll on the screen, right? Okay. Yes. Right. Swarna, can we have the first question, please?
I have sent the poll now, launched it.
Great. Yeah. So what role do you play? What hat are you currently wearing in your organization? Are you a student? Are you a oops. Sorry. Yes, are you a student? Are you a founder? Are you a practitioner? Second. Okay, should we move on to the next? Should we display the results, please? I'm unable to see the results. Yeah. If everyone's done, can you quickly just say done on the chat box so that we get a sense and we can proceed? So what role do you currently play in your organization? Are you a student, founder, program manager? Are you working directly in the field? Are you in the operations team? Do you work in communications? Can we launch the results? Right. One by one, the questions are supposed to. Yeah, Swarna, can we launch the poll one by one, please, the questions?
Sure, yeah.
Right? Sorry, while we sort out this technical glitch, the poll questions are supposed to display on your screen one by one. This is the first time we're also working with this. Have you launched the responses?
Shreya, the questions are in the same poll, the
Okay.
three questions.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's all then just take all of it together, right? Right. Please take the next 2 minutes to fill out the poll.
Sayantan, you should have the poll right in front of you on the screen.
No, it's not showing. I tried refreshing once, it's still not showing.
All right.
Vaikunth, it's not showing for me either.
All the poll questions, or just like it didn't show from the beginning?
No, from the beginning only for me.
All right. We'll do one thing. We'll do one thing. We'll just relaunch the poll. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Is it available now? I've relaunched it.
Yeah, I've already filled this one.
Yeah, it's the same poll. Some of them were not able to access it, so I've relaunched it. Yeah.
No, it's still not showing for me.
Could you try clicking on the poll option on the bottom?
Here is no poll option for me. Participant, chat, share screen, record, reaction. That's it.
Okay. Are the others able to access the poll?
Yes, I can see.
All right. Yeah, I think it's just a question of updating the Zoom version.
Okay, yeah, could be.
Okay, Vaikunth, let's launch the results. Is everyone done? Still can't access, not showing, failed once. Smita is done. Sajida, Saloni, thank you for thumbs up. Katya, thank you. Noted. Vidhi, thank you. All right. Vaikunth, can we project the results?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and project the results.
Yeah, let's proceed, please.
Are you able to see it? I've shared it. I'm projecting it.
I am unable to see the poll result.
I can see it, and it's been on now for a while.
Okay. Vaikunth, are you able to see?
Not able to see it actually. Okay.
Right. Try clicking on the poll option, Shreya. Vaikunth.
Doesn't work. All right, Katya, if you're able to see, can you read out the poll results for everyone? Can we just summarize?
You're on mute.
Yes. So we have like students and founder equal amount with 38%, then program managers with 25%, field coordinator 13%, and operations team 13%. Marketing team, sorry, communications team, which I am in, is 0%. I don't know what happened, but I'm here for marketing. So which SDGs does your primary work in? Multiple choice. So nobody from SDG 3, but 88%, the majority from SDG 4, quality education. Then the second largest amount is 38% for SDG 5, gender equality. And SDG 8 and SDG 17 are equal, like decent work and economic growth and partnerships for the goals, with each 30%. Then the third question, how much of a role do you play in program design? 50% said high, 25% said low, and 13 each said medium or very low, which is surprising, I think. Then fourth question, what kind of an organization are you affiliated with? 88% says NGO, 25% say social enterprise, and 13% says academic.
Just unmute yourself, Shreya.
Yes, right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That gives us a good sense of who all is there in the room. Now we proceed towards, I'm going to do a quick introduction of why we're here, what we are doing today, because we've already lost a lot of time. There's always some technical glitch that usually happens on such platforms, so please bear with us, but good to have you nonetheless. We're IndiVillage, and Samvāda is an initiative by the IndiVillage Foundation. IndiVillage started off as a social enterprise with the objective of sustainable livelihood in rural communities. We're presently in rural Andhra Pradesh and rural Karnataka. And the foundation was incorporated in the beginning of this year to focus more widely on our community development activities. In the past, we worked with a local organization in one of our locations in supporting a school, a clean drinking water plant, a healthcare facility, but now with the foundation here and the foundation team, some of whom you can see today, we work primarily in the areas of quality education, gender equality, sustainable economic growth, as well as partnership for the goals. Okay. Samvāda Dialogue for Impact was started in Bangalore when we could physically meet. The idea was to bring people in the impact industry together in one room, always with a conscious effort to encourage dialogue and networking. And by networking, we mean going deeper than looking at each other's websites or marketing collateral, but actually sparking conversations that lead to collaborative offshoots. That is the vision with which Samvāda was formed. And this is our 7th edition. We took a pause in the middle when everything moved virtual. Quickly, our team members are all present here today. Vaikunth, who focuses on livelihoods for IndiVillage Foundation. There's Swarna, there's Nikita, Katya, who supports us with marketing and communications. There is Smita, our CEO, who looks at IndiVillage as a whole. And I look at the foundation. Today's topic is redesigning programs for COVID, models of success. And we are very, very happy to have Santosh, who founded Think Sharp Foundation, and Sumaya, who co-founded Lakshya Jeevan Jagriti. And IndiVillage will be the 3rd speaker for the evening. Over to you, Vaikunth, if you could introduce our speaker and the organization. And then, yes, another very, very interesting part before we start is that the presentation with which we're doing is a Pecha Kucha style. Some of you might be familiar, some of you may not. It's a 20 by 20, meaning 20 slides for 20 seconds each presentation, which on a side note, do tell us later on if you would like to standardize this as the duration for all presentations and board meetings and other discussions, because that's a discussion we were having when we were doing a tech run, dry run. And some housekeeping rules. Do keep your microphones on mute when you're not speaking. Use the raise hand function if you have questions or comments, or please continue to interact on the chat box. Either Vaikunth, Swarna, or I will respond to you soon as we can. Do be mindful of the background noise when you turn on your mic. Keep your phone on silent so that we don't disrupt anyone while they're speaking. And use the go slow function if you feel someone or I am going too fast and you want us to speak slower. And lastly, do close other tabs on your computer so that it doesn't distract you from this very, very exciting presentation that we're going to see from Santosh and then Sumaya today. Over to you, Vaikunth. Let's begin.
Thanks a lot, Shreya. Yeah. So we have with us 3 organizations today. We have Think Sharp Foundation. We have the managing trustee and founder Santosh with us. Think Sharp Foundation looks to bridge the rural-urban education divide. And they work primarily in rural Maharashtra. So Santosh's idea of starting a social organization to bring this, bridge this education gap because of his first-hand experiences. And he founded this organization in September 2011. Great to have you with us, Santosh. I really look forward to listening to everything you have to share.
Thank you.
So Santosh has had more than a decade experience in the finance industry. And he's worked with a lot of the familiar names like Tata Capital, Magma FinCorp, and Edelweiss, to name a few. So yeah, over to you, Santosh. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I have to share the screen, right? Hello, Venkud. I'm getting a message that host disable participant screen sharing.
Should be able to work now. I've reset that, Santosh.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so can I start then?
Yes, Santosh, go for it.
Great. Thank you, Vaikunth, for the lovely introduction. And I'll take it forward now, starting with the presentation. As Shreya said, this is the first time we are using this Pecha style. Okay, so I have to be very quick. As Vaikunth said, Thingsha Foundation is a non-profit organization founded in 2011 with vision to bridge the rural-urban education divide. And we all are aware, we live in the modern India, but there is a Bharat here. And 67% population in India represent Bharat, I would say. And out of that 67%, roughly 20 crore students are school-going children. And out of that, 15 crores are studying in the rural schools. So you can imagine how big is the rural India and the population who is enrolled in the just first to 8th standard. That much population we have to cater. And there are many problems, but some of the, the challenges, the top of challenges are poor access to modern education facilities, the low interest in overall education, then the poor learning outcomes. Then there is a high dropout, especially at the school education as well as the higher education. Then financial constraint is the biggest challenge for the rural communities. So these are the top problems we see, and we are trying to cater these problems through our program. So how we are approaching or solving this problem? So the answer is the program study mall. So that program study mall we inspired from the concept shopping mall. When we enter to the shopping mall, you get pinned to piano under one roof. So similarly, we also offer all modern education infrastructure and resources under one roof in rural schools. That's how the study mall looks like. If in the center it is a school, and the study mall which offers the library, neat and clean classroom, the computer education, digital infrastructure, community engagement, and we have added few more programs during this pandemic and even before pandemic, which I'll speak about. So one of our flagship program under the study mall is the digital class. We all know how important the digital learning nowadays has become. And our digital class, all-in-one digital class, which offer the interactive learning in the rural schools, which creates the more interest in the education, which we are trying to address that problem to create the more interest and the concept-based education. Second, we have a program called Computer Mitra. Now, Mitra here represents as a friend. So we have our trainer to whom we call Computer Mitra, who carry the laptop, 5 laptops on a bike, and visit to the school after school in a day and weekly, monthly, and he conduct the the basic computer learning sessions. Then we have a program called Modular Library. So these are the design and concept by us, the Modular Hanging Library, where we offer the non-academic books to create the love for reading. Most of you have seen the many surveys where students are not able to read. Even a 5th standard students cannot read from 2nd standard. And one of the reasons is they don't have the books which they really do like to read. Then we have a program called Solar Shala, because we are putting a lot of digital infrastructure, and school also required the constant and reliable electricity supply to for the lighting purpose, for the cooling purpose. So that is one of the initiative we have recently started to address the electricity issue and provide the reliable and constant power supply. So far, through all these programs, we reached to 51 schools across the Maharashtra. All the schools are government-aided schools or government-run schools. So far, we have reached more than 9,000 students, and we are working in 49 villages, that too in the 13 different districts in rural Maharashtra. Now, So far, everything was going good till March. Everything at personal life, at foundation level, everything. But this COVID changed everything. All of a sudden, 100% schools got closed just because of this pandemic, and students have nothing to learn about or they connect with back to the school. And because in rural area, most of the all students are dependent on the school. Now, what is that stopping them to connect with the school? And that is the digital divide. Because we have seen in urban areas, at least our children, in our family, friends, they are able to connect with the school because we have a digital access. But in rural, just 15%, that is our internal survey talks about. And we have lots many reports in media as well, which talks about only 15 to 20%. So what we did, we started a program called Homeschool, which has a tablet-based school, which is loaded with the learning content and internet connectivity. Now, internet connectivity is a major issue across the country, but we are working with those schools where the internet connectivity is available from our existing partner schools. Another challenge which we are facing is the digital literacy, because these children are first time, they are exploring to the digital device and they don't have digital literacy. So I would make sure that teachers visit to their home and conduct the digital literacy program, so that from session second or third, by themselves, they can log into the device and start the online session. This is how we conduct the online learning session through Google Meet or Zoom or any other platform which is available, where students are sitting back to their home and teachers are conducting session from their home. So this is one of the snapshot from our the school near Pune, where we started the homeschool program, which is benefiting to almost 70 students. So beyond that, because now we have a technology, and technology opens the lot many doors, and for these rural kids also, the lot many doors are opened. We have lots of volunteers from the corporate sector who are engaged with them, and they're teaching more than the academics, which includes the filmmaking, which includes the the English language, which includes the German language, and few more. We are in the partnership with the other partner organization to launch the programs. Now we went beyond the academics. We try to control the devices and safety of the devices, because these students are the first time users of the device. So we have to make sure that the safety and security of the device very carefully. So we use the mobile device management system, where we can remotely control all the devices, and we deploy only the content which is required for them. Now, there are a lot many questions. What after the schools reopen? What will happen with the tablets and the technology we provided? Now, we'll convert these tablets or the homeschool into the tablet schools, where the tablets will be remain into the schools, and all our programs where the volunteers engagements are there. And we are currently working on to launch few more programs that will continue even after the schools are reopened. We have a way ahead. So we are trying to reach more and more number of schools where the internet connectivity available, and we are distributing the tablets to run the homeschool program. And after the homeschool schools reopen, we'll reach more and more schools and convert those homeschool into the tablet schools, and all our programs will be continued. I think that's what from my side. This Pecha is really fantastic. Thank you very much.
Excellent work, Santosh. Right on time as well.
Thanks, Santosh. You did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. A lot of information has been shared with all of us, and even I'm struggling to pick up everything that was said. So let's take about 3 minutes, and everyone just jot down your thoughts, your questions. Feel free to put up the questions on the chat window as well. I'll take them down so that our speakers can answer them at the end of the session. Yeah? Awesome. So let's just take 3 minutes starting now.
Can I answer meanwhile some of the questions?
No, let everyone synthesize.
No
now
problem.
we'll answer it at the end of it. Yeah, we'll let the 3 presentations.
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Could I request everyone to keep typing down their questions in the chat box, please? Great. I see some very good questions in the chat box. The discussion will be very, very interesting. Swarna, if you could just keep making note of the questions that people are sharing so that we can address it to our speakers at the end.
Sure.
All right, sounds great. Let's start off with the second speaker. We have with us today Sumaya. Thank you very much for joining us. Laksha Jeevan Jagriti is a social enterprise working for youth and women empowerment. It was started by a team of 7 college-going students who decided to work for society instead of picking up high-paying careers in the corporate sector. And they believe that quality education and personal development will enable those from under-resourced backgrounds to gain the requisite skills to be market ready. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know you primarily work around Delhi or peri-urban Delhi. And over the last decade, Laksha Jeevan Jagriti has in fact impacted 5,000 community members. So that's great to see. All yours, Sumaya. Take it away. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you, very good. Thank you, IndiVillage and Samvāda for inviting me. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
So I'll start from the instance, once I was asked that, Sumaya, why IT skills to women and why not some candle making or soap making skills to women? Our primary focus is to provide women access to technology and education. So I would say skills are gender neutral. And why we want to limit the potential of women into certain category of skill set. In lower socioeconomic communities, we see that women are illiterate, they lack self-belief, they have low self-esteem and little access to technology. And this is what our society has been teaching us from the very beginning of our life. The program Avasatma, we believe that the lack of self-belief is one of the important aspects, and especially in lower socioeconomic communities. The key leverage point of empowering a woman is working on the self-belief from I can't to I can. And this is how we provide the platform for women to learn and to give access to technology, basic education, and financial education. Till date, we have benefited more than 5,000 women in different communities in slum areas of Delhi. And we have provided them voice and agency so that they can have a control in their life. They can take in charge of their lives. And there are resources available for them, but they are not really aware of those resources. They can't really access those resources. So that's the motive of program. And after the lockdown, I would say we were, like all of us, we were not really prepared for the lockdown, and all our operations were in the physical center, and we wanted to take everything online. but the issue was very different. The community has very different need at that point of time. So majority of the individuals we work with, beneficiaries we work with, are daily wagers and migrant laborers, and their immediate need was hunger, financial crisis. All of them lost their job from March onwards, and there was no income to support. So we thought what to do next, but the question was, are we ready to read deployment of the limited resources we have as an organization? We have very limited team at that point of time. So that is something very challenging, and we somehow accepted this challenge and adapted according to it. We started to think about how we can start the COVID relief work and in our own community, with our own beneficiaries. From the single kitchen, we started to provide 300 to 400 meals every day with our four team member at that point of time who were present. But the demand was so huge. There were long queues every day, and the community needed support for children, for women, and everyone need ration and grocery at that point of time. So we started to realize that can't we ask our own network and make this a huge campaign rather than just make a small. So we realized the power of community. All of the beneficiaries who were involved with us in the education initiative got involved with us in the relief work. The women we used to work with, every woman started to get involved in the community kitchen. Each one of them was making or cooking food from 700 to 800 people every day, and somehow sustaining themselves as well in the process. So from 300 to meals to 3,000 meals every day, we were able to provide 700 grocery kit, the different slums, different communities, sanitary pads, and we realized that we were really hesitating to ask our community members, but all of them came together to make this possible into different areas, into Zakhira, Nehru Nagar slums, everywhere. So the whole campaign was actually a relationship-driven campaign, from beneficiary to the donor to the volunteers who were working on the ground. Everyone was very much connected to the campaign as well as to the community we were working with, and all were local heroes, I would say. People who were cooking, people who were going out. In the meanwhile, we were also came across, worked with ASHA workers in North and East Delhi, and we came to know that there are different families ASHA workers are in touch with who need support at that point of time, and we are able to see different and newer issues in the community, like lack of sanitary products, and women living in very challenging situation. We have started to provide them reusable sanitary pad, and there was not just a issue of physical well-being but also a mental well-being for the women in the COVID pandemic. As we were working closely with the community, we reached out to different communities with the support of ASHA workers and everyone. And meanwhile, while we were working with the community, new community members, we came across, we started to work with children and women in those community members. We wanted to give them education after 4 months. And then what we saw, not just digital divide, like Santosh said, in the rural and urban area, but there was a gender divide, I would say. Even if 60% of our students had families had the access of Android mobile phones, the ownership of the mobile phone was in the hand of male member. And whenever they go out for work, it's women and children are left behind, and they do not have any access to Android phone. And we started a campaign, Chalo Pade Online, after that, where we fundraised for the Android devices and provided to the women and children so that they can access the classroom and start to learn at this point of time, because they have been homeschooled in the last 6 months. What was really needed at that point of time, that because everyone was emotionally broken and mentally very fragile, we started online counseling for the women and provided them financial literacy to ASHA workers and women who were connected to us, so that they can keep track of the every penny which is coming in and going out in the house. And this is what we have been doing, and we really need support, because we realize over the time that how community can make a really, if we come together, we can make a huge difference. So that's the huge learning in the COVID times, and we need support to continue this work. So this was my marathon of Pecha Kucha. Thank you so much.
All right, wonderful. It's a new format, so it's good to see how all of us are handling it as well. And it was very, very informative as well. So thank you very much, Sumaya. I think what really stood out to me there was just how you've engaged so many ASHA workers and still reached out to so many people despite the uncertainties of the pandemic. So thank you very much for that. And as we did last time as well, now let's take 3 minutes and just synthesize our thoughts. Please feel free to continue to post questions on the chat window. I've been receiving a lot personally as well, but please put them on the chat window. We'll ask them all at one shot after the next speaker finishes off. Let's take 1 more minute and then start off with the third speaker. All right, excellent. So up next, session 3, we have Shreya. She heads the impact at IndiVillage, and she heads the IndiVillage Foundation as well. So we can go ahead and start off there. All right, we have a lot more questions coming in. I'll just put that down for later.
Thank you, Vaikunth. We already introduced IndiVillage Foundation in the beginning, so I'm just going to, in the interest of time, dive into my attempt at a Pecha Kucha. Please bear with me. This is also the first time that we are trying this out. So any shoes and slippers you want to throw, please save it for when we can meet in person. Okay, great. So quickly then, IndiVillage Foundation at Samvāda, the program that we've picked to talk about today is Storytelling Saturday, our child literacy program. We're a very young organization as the foundation, and so the program is also progressing with baby steps. The program Storytelling Saturday was started to build an interest in stories in children in primary schools. Before COVID, we had access to the classroom. So the program used to happen in the classroom, and where we had LKG to grade 5 children where we read out these stories. It was volunteer driven, so local community volunteers in vernacular languages used to visit the classroom once a month and use a lot of modeling, storytelling, actions, interaction, and this is how, so you can see they're holding out the book, and this helped both the volunteer as well as the child. They kind of participate in the activity. Like I mentioned, there was modeling, there was interaction. It was a peer learning environment. Children used to learn from each other. A lot of checks for understanding, a lot of cross questioning used to happen, a lot of role playing used to happen, while this was all in the classroom pre-COVID. Also, a big component of the program was to have the teacher as a passive learner or a passive audience in the classroom.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but your slides aren't moving.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still on the opening slide.
Oh, so sorry. Don't know why that is not. Okay. Are you able to see now?
No.
No? Can you not see in the classroom?
Nope.
No.
Just unshare and reshare your screen. That's it.
Are you able to see it now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Translation time is.
Sorry?
No, continue. Sorry.
Yes. So this is in the classroom. I'm just going to proceed to the place that we stopped at. Yeah. Modeled interactive peer learning environment for children, where they were asked questions, they could learn from each other's responses, a lot of pictures that they could see, the storyteller could clarify doubts while we had access to the classroom. Okay, and the teachers who I mentioned were passive learners in this process, because when you want to build reading habits or interest in stories, we wanted to model that out for teachers so that they can also intertwine storytelling in the different lessons that they taught in the classroom. When lockdown happened, the first challenge that we faced was schools were closed. That means no children came. We lost access to the classroom, which was very, very integral in the way that we had to run the program. Regional migration. So initial panic caused a lot of the children and their families to flee to maybe relatives' houses or nearing villages or somewhere, and we lost track. So just to give you a background, the school that we work with is targeted at the perhaps the most marginalized, economically marginalized community in the region. So they do not have access to tech. Many of them don't have access to phones. So from lack of access, are you able to see my next slide? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So they lost access to tech. That was also a big factor. We were not able to continue the program via computers. So our first response was that we need to keep in touch with the kids. So for this program used to run for the entire school at that time. We said, okay, what can we do that children can do from home with little or no supervision from parents? So we created grade level math and literacy workbooks that we then distributed directly to the school, invited their parents to our tech center in IndiVillage and asked them to collect with crayons and stationery kit and the learn from home activity workbooks, which was very well received by both parents and children. You can see over here, the children had something that they were familiar with. It was something that they could do easily. Even if the parent was illiterate or did not have time to dedicate to the child, at least they were engaged in learning. At least they did not think of school as something they would not see for the near future. It was a very, very important step that we had to do to keep kids engaged, so that when we would come back into the program, the summer slide would not happen, the relationship with us did not have to be rebuilt. All of those steps that we had taken initially to build confidence, to build that relationship and closeness with kids, build trust with them, all of that would not kind of backtrack. Now what we're doing with the program is we have printed out the books and we're delivering it to the kids' houses. We've also made the storybooks coloring books. So the pictures, we've unfilled the pictures so that the parent can read these stories. Again, vernacular languages, also has English, but the kids can also color in them so that increases their engagement with the content. And we have also inserted graphic organizers or simple worksheets where the kids could either draw out responses or speak keywords or phrases to the parents and they can capture. This seems like a very well responded worksheet, but otherwise sometimes kids just tend to write their other thing. We created a handout for the class teacher, how they can keep monitoring the program, what they need to tell their parents. We created the handout for the coordinator. We also created a handout for the parent on how to conduct a read aloud and what they can do. And there is an ongoing support. So every week the class teacher speaks, and now we've also moved the program to bi-monthly. So there are 2 touch points in the month, and our program coordinator then speaks with the teacher, also does visits into the community to see firsthand observations and provide ongoing support to the program. Very soon we'll be taking this into a WhatsApp subscription model so that we're able to open this out to more people in the community indirectly And then gradually also by the end of this year, we're hoping to take the program to our next location in Raichur through the same format. Since we have just started in September, these are all the updates right now from the community that we have. We're expecting a lot more, pictures, feedback, information, and then, on our social media and other places, you can come back to see more about it. So that's how we redesigned what was in the classroom to make it sort of self-learning, shifting the onus on the child and now on the parent to continue. Okay, that was my Pecha Kucha. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Shreya. Thank you very much. There are a lot of questions coming in again. So let's take 3 minutes first to synthesize all our thoughts, and then we'll start off with the questions. We'll also have all the questions coming in for all speakers. So what I will do is that I'll summarize the questions because a lot of them are around the same theme. And so I'll summarize the questions and ask it to the speakers one at a time. Okay. So let's just take the next 3 minutes and synthesize our thoughts. Let's all take exactly 1 more minute and then we'll get back.
Vaikunth, if you have received any questions separately, if you could also paste that in the chat box so everyone can see in case they also have common questions, that would be great.
Sure. So what I'm actually doing is I'm just going to summarize all the questions. If there are on the theme of community, I'm just going to ask that in particular to the speakers.
Sure.
Because there are quite a few around the same.
Sure. Sure. Meanwhile, everybody, please keep sharing your questions. Very, very nice to know that you have these questions and that you're engaging with the topic. Or if you have any inputs or suggestions for any of the speakers, that is also something that we can speak about.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to head back to the top. I hope everyone synthesized their thoughts as well. So I think one big piece now to Santosh and Thingsha. I think a few questions have come around how you start, what is your starting point in a new setting and with the community? Just around the starting point and the support that you initially get, whether it's from the school, from a community, or in terms of an idea. So can you just expand a little bit more about that?
This is related to the pre-COVID or the post-COVID?
Both actually.
Okay, both. So one of the key factor of our program is we engage the local community. And that is the one of the, I would say, if you want to be sustainable program, then without the community engagement, your program will not be sustainable. And we engage the parents, we engage the government officers, we engage the teachers and the entire school body, whether it's any program. So without support from the community, we don't go ahead. In fact, most of the programs, even the financial contribution, at least 10% is done by the community, because we know that ek haath se dena aur ek haath se lena hota hai. In India, if you give everything as a charity, people will take you granted. And that's the reason I don't call it an NGO thing shop, even though it is registered under NGO category, but I call it a social enterprise because we look for the sustainable model, not just a charity model. And that's our way of doing the sustainable, program. So yes, community play major and important role in our program.
Wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit more about the mobile management system?
Okay, so this we recently found that because once we started this, distributed tablets, we were not, we were helpless actually, because what students are doing, whether they are using in the right way or probably is there any misuse of the technology, we were not sure about that. And there was no tracking or a monitoring mechanism available until unless we go to the children home and track it, but that is not possible in this pandemic. So I connect with some the technology people, and I discussed this problem, and fortunately we got to one solution, that the mobile device management, which is a software application which we have to install into the tablet or any smartphone, Android based, and then remotely you can monitor and maintain the device remotely. It is up to us what kind of application we need to install. Once we install the application, students cannot uninstall those applications, or without our permission, students cannot install any further application. So all the attendance, even the battery level, if the students are in the same geography or whether they are travel from that village to another village, everything is we are tracking. So when the student is online, we are able to see where he is sitting at home or some other place. So everything is tracking, we are remotely, and that's how that mobile management system do work, and it is really benefiting to us to monitoring and evaluation of our program.
Wonderful to hear, Santosh. So Sumaya, I think something similar to you, right? How did you start off engagement with the same community, especially post-COVID? Yes, you did know them a bit, but in particular with the ASHA workers, despite the fear of possibly catching the virus. Hello? Sumaya?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost the internet connection between.
That's okay.
I lost your voice. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So how did you start off engaging with the community as a program as a whole? And then how did you also have, how do you convince people to help with the relief efforts given the fear of COVID?
Yeah, so when March onwards, there was exam pressure on students, and we closed down the center, and we were in very much communication with the students throughout on phone calls and everything too. We didn't know how much the lockdown is going to be for till March or April. So we were in communication with the student, and that's how we got connected to the, we have the database of the parents' occupation of the children. And if someone has a battery rickshaw, so we used to call the parent and connect them with them if they can volunteer with us in grocery distribution, in food distribution. That's the one thing. Second, a lot of women, like part of the we have been engaged with women. It's been like 10 years now, and a lot of ASHA workers, when we come in contact with them, so they became the nodal point in the community. And the fear of the pandemic was so much in our team as well, because we were also working throughout in March, April onwards. So we created a system where one person will reach to a second nodal point, and from there onwards they will reach to another point. So that's how the distribution took place. And this is how even the whole community responded and participated with us.
All right, wonderful. It's great to see that despite all the possibilities, you guys were very selfless in serving the community. So that's wonderful to learn from. So Santosh, I think the next one's to you. What kind of support do you generally receive from corporates? Or you mentioned the community pays about 10% in the beginning and things like that. But apart from that, what kind of support do you receive from the government or from particular corporates?
Forget about support from the government. Government doesn't have money for their own salary, to be very honest. And this is the situation across the country. So in fact, we are supporting to the government. And this is, I say proudly that all NGO sector, corporates, social sector are supporting to the government. Okay. If I talk about the corporate part, yes, we are getting the good support from the corporate part in past before COVID. But after COVID, we somehow realized that there is a I would say the stop breaker from the corporate because their operation has badly hit, and corporates have somehow they spend their money on the COVID relief in the beginning. Some of them just put into the PM care. There are lots of debates happening. You can see on the news channel. Corporates support it so far was really slow, but I proudly say here that we received the good support from the individuals. For the homeschool program, we received more than 6 lakh rupees on the crowdfunding. Can you believe that? And that all 6 lakh rupees out of that, the 4.5 lakh rupees raised by the children, the school children, secondary, who are studying into the different international schools in the urban area. So that is an amazing fact that we have seen that lot many individual people who are coming forward and supporting those do not have access in the rural community. So that really worked very well crowdfunding in pandemic time. So that is my answer to your question.
Wow, that's excellent. I think just looking at kids being an essential part of crowdfunding is unheard of. So that's a brilliant model right there. So thanks.
And we, as I said, we engage some corporate volunteers. So these volunteers, beyond their duty just from the teaching, they also contributed monetary, and they make sure that if they are teaching through the online sessions, so they also help us the monetary and give the the support to provide the tablets to the students from our partner schools.
Wonderful. And is the voluntary program still ongoing?
Yes, still it is ongoing and it will continue. I think now we will introduce a separate program under ThinkSharp now, because we want to take it for more and more number of schools where the technology is accessible, where internet has a good connect. So probably we will design good program under our volunteer engagement partnership, and we'll bring more and more corporates, because that's what they want to play more role by sending their employees and spend some time on the giving back to the society.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. So Maya, same with you. I think there's a lot of pivoting that was done during the onset of the pandemic as well. So what is the kind of support that you received from people around you, from corporates in particular, or your existing staff?
We haven't worked with corporate in during the pandemic while we were raising funds. So we got a lot of support from individual funders, individual donors. So before the pandemic, we haven't really worked with individual donors. And after we got a huge response, I would say, from 10 donors to, I would say, 700 donors in during the COVID times. And all of them, all of them was not coming through social media, or I would say through crowdfunding campaign. Most of them were through, if they have, we have forwarded a message to our close network of friends and families, and they keep coming from different references. And that's how the network became so huge in the last 4 months. And individual support was one of the most amazing thing, I would say, happened in the last 4 months.
Wonderful. That's great to see that.
One more point I would like to add. So not just from money perspective, I would say there was a lot of support to non-monetary as well, in terms of people coming in and supporting the cause by just sending resources and coming to just volunteer to just distribute the ration kit and everything. If the migrant workers are going by home, so we have also provided them kits and everything. So people coming in with their own vehicles to support the cause. There were some people from no matter, they were not really looking at how big or small contribution they were making. So there are some thela walas who used to come with their thela that, ma'am, we will be supporting you. You just keep your things on my thela and just go and distribute things. So these kind of community engagement we saw in the last 4 months.
I think it's great to see how people came together at a time of need, and they contributed not only in cash, but they were in kind. I think that's what really kept society as a whole going during the pandemic. So thanks a lot for that. I think up next, Santosh, in terms of just the resource requirement, right? There's just such an increase in the resource requirement. How are you sustaining your programs? What are the major challenges you're facing at this point of time?
So major challenge, I would say there are, one is the access to technology. Again, the access would be the remain challenge for us. Most of the villages, even though we have a support from corporates or individuals, and we are able to give or distribute the tablets and conduct the session, but the poor connectivity of internet is the major challenge for us. That's the reason we are not able to reach the schools which are really in the tribal areas or the in remote areas. So we are just targeting the schools or our homeschool program where there is internet connectivity available. So I would say internet connection is the biggest challenge which we are facing. Apart from them, in terms of sustainability, we feel that some of the parents are not keen interested for this digital learning. This is not very chunk of small community where they don't want to have their kids exposed to the digital. And the one thing we realize that the more and more they are taking their kids to the learning earning activities. So because now this is the time where probably the parents wants the kids to help to the earning activities, because most of the parents have either lost their job, they are daily wage workers, so probably they are not able to go on the field and earn for themselves. So students are also engaging with the earning activities, and I think if that will be the continue, most of our kids will be out of the education system. It will be very difficult for us to bring back to them to the education system, and that's the biggest challenge we are going to face.
Yeah, that's been a trend all around. A lot of my friends in the education sector as well have been explaining how just bringing kids back into a learning space while out of school is just really tough. So yeah.
Yes.
Agreed. So Shreya, there are a couple of questions for you as well. Do you want to take?
Right. Sure. Great. Thank you, Sayantan, for your question, or Shayuntun. Sorry about the mispronunciation. But you asked about the WhatsApp model. Is it a freemium? I'm just going to take that question first. Yes, the idea is to make the program reach as many people as we can. So our direct intervention is with a partner school who we are doing the physical books with, but for the rest of the community, and because this partner school, the demographics such, when we did our needs analysis and our study before, that they don't have access to tech. But for those in the community, in our locations who do have access to tech, we want to open a WhatsApp group where we will upload audio-visual stories on the same intervals that these go out in our partner schools. The program is going to run in parallel. We will, how we are tracking engagement. So reach, definitely we're tracking, but because our communities are also quite close-knit, we're going to monitor, the engagement, take parent feedback, identify clusters of where this is happening. So we're going to do a mapping of which schools or which populations, which areas are the ones who are engaging highest, and then kind of see if we can do a deeper engagement. As part of the program, we're also looking to do other engagements like a kids newspaper, which has other resources and other touch points, which helps us to stay in touch with the community, and open out virtual live sessions where we could engage corporates perhaps in live storytelling. Again, the areas that we work in, tech access is relatively poor, so it's a delicate sort of area that we tread. Next, I'm going to respond to Sajida's question about the storybooks along with worksheets. Were they designed by us? So the workbooks, the Learn From Home activity workbooks, we curated from a host of sites. The storybooks are Pratham Books' Story Weaver. Why reinvent when there is already so much free resource and lovely resource available, right? So what we have, experienced, and we've been using it for a year, Pratham Books has vernacular stories. They're all leveled. That is something that has really come in handy. We don't have to worry so much about the, the reading assessment. If we're expanding, the reading level, if we're expanding to more children, that is something that we can rely on. And that's why, Mrs. Chatterjee, this would be a challenge if there were people to write stories for us. While we would love that, again, kind of grading it to age appropriate would be like a secondary level of assessment that we would need to do, which we are very happy to do. But meanwhile, there's already a lot more resources available in the market. And yesterday, in fact, when I was chatting with Santosh, he shared about how Think Sharp has collated a mixed classroom library, so which was also something that we were going to do while the school program was on. So I'm going to pick Santosh's brains more on how they have done that. Pratham Books and, you know, Katha or other publishers or other NGOs that have released books. So that's that. And Saloni, to your question, how did the teachers and parents respond? Right, very, very critical. So now the relationship that we have with this partner school that we started Storytelling Saturday is over 7 to 10 years old. So fortunately, there's already a lot of trust, and it helps that pre-COVID we were physically present, so they know who we are. We all they live close by, easy to spread through word of mouth. A lot of the parents are employed, or maybe some of the parents are employed in our livelihood center. That helps also to build trust. So that is one approach that we use, creating an IndiVillage ecosystem where we can include more and more people in the community into our beneficiary fold through various programs. The handout has been very useful because it's simple steps that they can follow. But the tracking is what we are now, you know, really looking at. So whether just teacher tracking is going to be enough, or how much our program coordinator needs to go and keep seeing that the parent is invested, the parent is doing. But it has been so far very positively received. When the parent is saying, why are you giving us such easy stories? Give us Mahabharata and Tenali Raman and other things that kids will be, you know, more willing to, or will be more excited about. So far, so good. Let's see how it goes.
All right, thank you very much, Shreya. That was supremely detailed as well. So that covered a range of the questions that you received. So thank you very much for that. One last piece, just a couple of questions for Sumaya. I think as you diversified into the different areas depending on the need, what kind of collaborations do you really see that helped achieve it? And in continuation with this, one of the parts where you diversified was the financial literacy project. So what is the response to this?
Okay. So currently we are looking for support in terms of counseling for the mental health. That's one area. Also, we are looking for some CSR support right now, because we have already reached out to different communities and we are raising fund to continue the program we are working with. And that's the one area. Also, to respond to the second question for the financial literacy, like we all know that women can earn some money, but oftentimes they are not in charge of that money they earn. So they have a skill set, maybe a pre-skill set. They know something about, you know, stitching or embroidery, but they sometimes make money out of it. And they cannot access that financial they do not have access to financial freedom, and they can't take decisions. So that's why the financial literacy course comes in place in this lockdown time, where they can actually take note down or calculate, you know, every penny they comes in and goes out from the house, and can save some certain amount of money. So this is why we are reaching out to more women, so that they can keep track of the money they earn, and also increasing the literacy on finances.
Yeah, wonderful. I think it's very important to not only acknowledge but ensure that women get equal opportunity in multiple cases, especially during a pandemic, when their help can be that much greater to the household, as it always is. So that's really good. Thank you very much for that. All right.
Okay, Vaikund, let's take one last question before we close out. And then I think people can connect separately. We would really encourage.
Sure. So we have quite a few questions over here. Let's see which one we can take in this time. Otherwise, I'll just send it out to all of you later on. All right. So there's one question here on how do you mobilize counselors and how did the community receive this initiative? So that's to Sumaya.
So actually, we have been working with children and women the last 10 years, and social emotional learning is one of the aspects that we are engaging kids into social emotional learning. We have we have certain counselors who are currently volunteering with us in the classrooms, where we teach women and start dialogues and start conversation, because in the time of lockdown, a lot of women shared with us that they are facing some domestic violence at home front because of the financial crisis, and there are a lot of going on at their home front. So at that point of time, we see that mental health is one of the major pain area where women are actually suffering from, and here comes the role of the counselors we are working with, who are currently our volunteers with us, but we really want to make them engage for the long term.
All right, perfect. It's great to know that you managed to get the program running on the digital platform, and it shows that deep community engagement is the key from both of from all three of what was shared today. All right. So we heard a lot from Santosh around just the importance of how digital literacy has taken over what we're doing today. We heard a lot from Sumaya around just how involving mothers along with the children can just make a world of difference, and how engaging the community, especially ASHA workers as well, makes a big change to upskilling of women and youth as well. This just shows from what Shreya said as well, on how the community can be accessed in multiple ways. If not only through a digital medium, it can still be accessed temporarily through the storybooks and engaging content as well, since kids could color and all of that. So it's great to see different work being done by all of you. And I would love for people to use this Samvāda space to really connect with these organizations. I think all their contact details will be shared with you as well. You can find them on social media. And it'll be great to have a lot of collaboration post this as well, and take dialogue beyond just this virtual space. So Shreya, is there anything else?
Thank you, Vaikunth, for summarizing that so well. And thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your engagement. And this is really the USP and then the heart of Samvāda, to have people interact and not just speakers, to bring everyone in the room to ask questions, give inputs and share. And like Vaikunth suggested, please continue to keep this engagement going. Some of us have already reached out on the chat box to suggest that we could maybe look at working together or explore some ideas. So do keep that going. That said, these are some themes for our next discussion. So Samvāda is a community space. The dialogue happens based on what we feel is the need of the hour. We feel that somebody has nominated, someone could be one of you, could be one of us. So if there is anything that you would like to suggest to us, please write to us at samvāda@indivillage.com. Katya will also share our newsletter with you so that you're up to date on what IndiVillage Foundation is working on, what new exciting events or updates we have for you, and when the next Samvāda is. And lastly, do engage with us in our future discussions. The next one is on 28th October. We are on the following social media channels, and in today's day and age where digital is really the way we can reach out to one another, it would be great to stay in touch and stay updated. Thank you for your time. If anyone wants to share any closing thoughts, that would be absolutely lovely.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, entire team of IndiVillage. It was nice talking here and knowing each and everyone. So I really had a good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh.
Thank you very much, Santosh.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting us and give us a platform to interact.
It was wonderful having you here, Sumaya. Do stay in touch. Love the work you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, IndiVillage. This has been a great platform, great networking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best to you all. Thank you for joining us. Smita, unfortunately, they've left, so they can't read your message.
I saw Sumaya still on. My video is really bad today.
No problem.
I don't know if it's my internet connection.
We have a lot to reflect on and a lot to fix.
Sorry, I didn't ask your questions, Smita. Like I just lost in the pool of questions. I don't know which one is which.
But you made note of it, and I think, Nikita, you could bring that out in your article. Mrs. Chatterjee was, by the way, Nikita's mom, who works with Concern.
Oh, I see.
What does she do with Concern India, Nikita? Is she the founder? You're on mute.
She is the she was the head fundraiser of Bombay, and then she was the like the head of the Bombay branch before when we moved to Calcutta. Then she took over Calcutta, and she's basically now working pan India because the situation's kind of changed with the lockdown.
Right.
So in the Calcutta branch had to kind of close down, and they had to kind of figure out how to operate in a different sense.
And she kept mentioning about corporate volunteer engagement. Let's chat about that later on more to understand how we can maybe, you know, engage on that front.
It's actually a very good money-making scheme because, like, I know a lot of their funds come from there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yes, keep all this inside information for us so that you're giving us the right scoop.
Good job, everyone. Thank you for moderating so well, Vaikund. The person behind the scenes, Swarna, and Katya, and Shreya, and Nikita, for your support.
Thanks a lot, Smita.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of glitches, but we'll definitely figure this out for the next one.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, hello!
Oh, that's such a pleasant surprise.
I know electric. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but that was, yeah. Okay. That's a
Did you
cool
not pick that up in the middle?
on the wall. I don't know.
Did you not pick that up in the middle? Shreya spoke when Katya's volume was. I did laugh. I'm sorry, I could not control that.
Oh, I didn't pick that up at all.
No, Katya's mic was on and you were speaking from that side.
Yeah.
But yours was off.
No, so my electricity just went in the afternoon and I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. And I had to still finish the PPT, the ugly Pecha Kucha that I made. But that's why I had to come and work out of here. Because the office is closed, right?
Yeah. But where? Is that your house or is that Katya's house?
Katya's house.
We have like this wonderful 90s wallpaper. Can't help it.
I kept looking at it throughout, saying, my God, where did Shreya find this wallpaper? It's actually pretty cool as a background on Zoom calls.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It was already in, and I was like, oh my God, I can't live with this wallpaper. It's just like not happening.
Could you lower the camera a bit? Thanks.
Yeah, I want to see the dog too.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, they're not interested in you two ladies. It's just that dog.
He's so cute.
All right, great. Don't want to get into anyone's evening unless anyone has something to say.
Did we already have?
No. I forgot to say the icebreaker sheet.
I'm
so sorry. I forgot. We could maybe send out an email to everybody saying that we're going to keep the icebreaker sheet open till tomorrow morning, and after which we can freeze it. They can paste their LinkedIn profiles also over there in case anyone wants to. That's the new way.
Yeah. So in that sheet, only 6 of them have filled the details up. So
yeah, the others are just sitting on chat, like you don't know, like 5 times.
The rest of them can. And what we can also do is maybe we could put a role column also in that, but that they don't need to fill. Maybe we could use it from the registration forms itself, so that if they want to connect with the concerned person in that organization, then they know that they can reach out to them.
Because I'm not sure if we could address all those questions. So in case there are some that are still open, then people have at least like somebody to go through with it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think? Sorry. Who did I interrupt? Nobody? Smita, what did you think about the Pecha Kucha format? Do you think that's something we should can work with going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a great format for when we have more than one person speaking, because it keeps them limited to whatever 6 minutes and something. I think though the instructions were, though they were clear, were not followed very well. Also, it has to be very imagery, right? It has to be very. There should be no copy. It should all be just an image that plays. But that's okay. I mean, I think it's a good way to keep the presentation to a limited time and keeps them on point and focused.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We really messed up with the polling and stuff. Okay, we got to figure out.
Yeah. That went on for a bit, so let's discuss that later. But I guess
We'll figure that out.
tech issues are tech issues.
Yeah.
So it's the light.
Yeah, we did a tech dry run with the speakers yesterday. We should have probably done it for ourselves also.
Yeah.
For next.
But I think that made a world of difference because
Yeah.
we saw so many glitches yesterday. So I'm glad
we
that we
didn't
did
know
that.
how to set it to 20 seconds and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. But mine only didn't know. Anyway, cool. Then have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time and hard work as always. Thank you for the love and
yours. And are you all practicing for that drinks night we're supposed to be having?
I missed that post Samvāda food. Such yummy sandwiches, man.
But I was just thinking today, at least when it's virtual, you can start drinking while it is happening.
So we could effectively tie up with like a samosa party or somebody like that, and people who register ahead of time can get a samosa and chai.
They're not in their house,
but it has to be a national supplier then, because they're not only in Bangalore.
Yeah, somebody like that.
Chai point or so, I don't know.
Chai point.
If they're everywhere.
Chai points.
I like that banana cake.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a nice one. So just on chai and banana cake.
Yeah, when NGOs are struggling for funds, we're investing on resources.
Promoting being a social enterprise.
Isn't there an SDG about eating also?
Very
point.
Health and nutrition, very important.
Yeah,
we're expanding to that, for sure. Self before service.
Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Should we debrief tomorrow?
Tomorrow, please. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So tomorrow, it's still recording. Let's stop before we start.
Yeah. I stopped it. I don't know if again, but yeah.
Oh, 1 sec. I'll stop.
Wait. Please save it.
I don't know how I got signed out in the beginning.
How do I stop recording?
I can stop recording, but where will it go?
It will go on the drive.
Lovely.